Nino, the runaway boy, listened in pure terror to the sound of an engine coming closer behind him. He turned his head suddenly and saw dust rising fast, moving straight toward him. At that moment, Nino knew the farm owner was coming to catch him. Terrified, he jumped into a nearby ditch, trying to hide. He whispered desperate prayers to every god he knew, hoping they would save him and stop the farmer from finding him. Just a few days earlier, Nino's father, who had spent most of his life working as a daily laborer on farms, had signed a contract with the farm owner using his son's name. Nino was not even 10 years old when he was forced to work there. But the boy refused to live the same life his father had lived. So when the chance came, he decided to run away. And he did not leave empty-handed. Nino stole the farm owner's most valuable possession, a costly gold pocket watch, to help secure his escape. When the farm owner discovered what happened, he exploded with rage. He gathered all the workers and ordered them to search for Nino. He even announced a large reward for anyone who found him. Nino's father tried to apologize and beg, but the farm owner silenced him with a cruel shout. Meanwhile, Nino reached a large tree where he had agreed to meet his sister. He quickly changed his clothes and put on the new ones she brought him. Then he asked her to throw his old clothes in the opposite direction, so the hunting dogs would lose his trail. After a quick goodbye, Nino kept running with whatever strength he had left. When night fell, Nino found a cave and hid inside. He ate some dry food to regain his energy, then spent the night filled with fear and tension. The next morning, the farm owner took the clothes the dogs had found and went to Nino's family home. He was convinced Nino had not escaped alone. He never doubted that someone had helped him, his sister. He confronted the girl, trying to force the truth out of her, but she refused to speak. So he began to pressure her, threatening the danger her brother might face. Afraid that Nino would be harmed, she finally confessed and revealed the direction he had taken. Their mother begged him to stop, but the farm owner answered with a harsh slap across her face. On the other side, Nino found a lonely building standing in a nearly empty area. It was a bus stop, the final step in his escape plan. Once he got on the bus, he would be free from the farm owner forever. As Nino slowly approached the bus stop, the sound of an engine suddenly returned behind him. Fear flooded his heart once again. The farm owner had found him. In panic, Nino ran toward another nearby ditch, desperately searching for a place to hide. He curled his body tightly and prayed with all his heart for the sky to save him from this nightmare. As the man drew closer, Nino's fear reached its peak. His breathing became rapid, and he shut his eyes tightly, ready to face his fate. But luck was on his side. The thick dust formed a perfect curtain, and the farm owner passed by without ever noticing Nino's presence. The farm owner began questioning people around the bus stop, but he found nothing. Nino could only watch helplessly as the bus he planned to take left the station. This area was sparsely populated, and buses were rare. The next one would not arrive for another 4 days. As the bus disappeared into the distance, Nino's eyes filled with despair. Even though the farm owner failed to find Nino, he was not willing to give up. The golden watch Nino had stolen was the most precious thing to him. He left one of his men at the bus stop to keep watching, while he led the others forward to continue the chase. After missing the bus, Nino had no choice but to keep running on foot. Along the road, he lived in constant tension. He panicked and hid even when he saw an ordinary passerby. While hiding from one of them, Nino accidentally rolled down a steep slope. He barely survived by grabbing wild grass along the hillside. Using every bit of strength he had left, he managed to climb back up, and continued walking forward. Then he realized his compass had been damaged during the fall, and was no longer usable, making his journey even harder. After a long walk, Nino came across a man watering his cattle. He waited patiently nearby until night fell, then slowly approached under the cover of darkness. He quickly removed his bag and began transferring the man's food into it. But the man noticed him. As the man moved closer, a terrified Nino finally turned and ran. The man struck him with a stick and knocked him to the ground. In fear, Nino pulled out the dagger hanging at his waist, and warned the man not to come any closer. The man ignored the threat and kept advancing. Forced by panic, Nino turned and ran again. He did not even have time to pick up his bag, which fell to the ground. Without his bag, Nino was left with nothing at all. He was completely broke, homeless, and alone. After another long journey, Nino saw a building on the horizon. Where there are buildings, there may be people. And where there are people, there may be food and water. Hope rising, he ran toward the building. He pulled out his dagger, gathered his courage, and rushed inside only to find the place completely empty. There was nothing inside except an old, broken well. Nino picked up a stone and dropped it inside. He waited a long time but never heard it hit water. Once again, despair swallowed him. Hungry, thirsty, and exhausted, Nino could no longer hold on. He finally collapsed to the ground. After some time, a man found Nino unconscious and tried every way possible to wake him up. Out of fear, Nino immediately raised his dagger to protect himself. But because of his young age and extreme weakness, he was no match for the man, who quickly restrained him. To save Nino's life, the man soaked pieces of cloth in water and began caring for the boy. When Nino finally regained consciousness, he realized that the person who saved him was the same man who had been watering the cattle. The kind man shared what little food he had with Nino and returned the bag Nino had dropped earlier. From that moment on, they continued the journey together. The man even gave Nino his own head covering to protect him from the burning sun. But the man's supplies were limited, so the two were forced to ration their food strictly. They would eat one day and fast the next. When there was nothing to eat, they talked to distract themselves from hunger. And when exhaustion grew, they lay under the shade of trees, using sleep as their escape from hunger. Meanwhile, the farm owner continued hunting Nino for days without rest. As the search tightened, he split his men into two groups to slowly sweep the area. Suddenly, the kind man noticed his dog barking wildly, far more than usual. He looked toward the sound and saw two men approaching from a distance. With his sharp instincts, he knew at once they were most likely searching for Nino. He told Nino to find a place to hide immediately. The boy rushed off at once, searching for cover. Moments later, the pursuers arrived and began violently questioning the man, demanding to know where the runaway boy was. But the man faced them calmly, insisting that he did not know Nino at all. Despite the pressure, he answered with quiet confidence and clever words, leaving no cracks in his story. Just as the pursuers started to believe him and prepared to leave, the hunting dog suddenly began barking madly near the dry well. At once, one of the men lit some grass and threw it into the well, where Nino was hiding at the bottom. The boy froze in place, holding his breath as tightly as he could, terrified of being discovered. Still suspicious, one of the pursuers raised his rifle and fired a shot straight into the well. By sheer luck, the bullet did not hit Nino. Trying to divert their attention, the man said he had seen vultures circling over a nearby valley the day before, suggesting the boy they were hunting might have died there. His trick worked, at least for a moment. But one of the pursuers suddenly asked a sharp question. Since morning, the man had not relieved himself, while Nino had done so earlier near one of the walls. Not knowing the exact spot, the man hurriedly pointed in a random direction and pointed to the wrong place. The pursuers immediately beat him brutally. Despite the pain, the man refused to reveal Nino's hiding place. So they changed tactics, speaking with fake kindness. But it was useless. To force him to talk, they slaughtered his sheep right in front of his eyes. Those sheep were all he had left in this world. As he watched everything he owned being destroyed, his heart filled with grief and rage. Yet he remained silent. Then they threw the slaughtered sheep, one by one, into the well. From the bottom, Nino watched the lifeless bodies fall, his own heart burning with sorrow and anger. In the end, they even threw the man's dog into the well. Nino could not bear it any longer. He stood up and began climbing toward the mouth of the well. Through a narrow gap at the edge, he saw the man who had protected him being tied to a horse and tortured during questioning. The pursuers rode the horse in circles, dragging the man behind them, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, a cruel and merciless punishment. Despite his injuries, the man noticed Nino clinging to the edge of the well. He gently moved his head, signaling to him not to act recklessly. At that moment, Nino spotted the rifle lying beside the well. He hesitated for a second, then gathered his courage again and again. Taking advantage of the pursuers being distracted, he climbed out quickly and grabbed the weapon. When the men saw the small boy holding a rifle, they believed he would never dare to shoot. They raised their hands and began moving toward him slowly. Suddenly, the hunting dog sensed danger and lunged at Nino. Without hesitation, the boy pulled the trigger and fired. He quickly worked the bolt and loaded another round. The pursuers froze in shock. At the same moment, one of them, who was on horseback, tried to raise his rifle and shoot Nino. But the boy was faster. He fired a precise shot that knocked the man off the horse. Because of the injury, the man's aim went off, and the bullet he fired by mistake struck his companion, killing him instantly. Although the rider fell, he was only wounded in the ear. Despite the pain, he refused to surrender and reached for his rifle again to fight. Nino managed to overpower him once more, and despite all the brutal torture he had endured, the kind man did not want bloodshed and chose to let the pursuer go. The man had no choice but to stand up in anger and flee. After he left, Nino and the kind man buried the pursuer, who had been killed by accident. Then they quickly left the area, afraid that more men from the farm owner might arrive. but the kind man's body was exhausted. From the beating and torture, they could not travel far before they were forced to stop. From that moment on, taking care of the injured man became Nino's responsibility alone. Meanwhile, the surviving pursuer rushed back to the farm owner and told him everything that had happened, fueling the man's burning rage. The next morning, Nino temporarily said goodbye to the injured man and set out alone to search for water. As he happily filled his container with cool well water, he suddenly heard someone speaking. Nino froze and searched for the source of the voice, thinking the pursuers had returned. Instead, he was surprised to see a stranger sitting on a wooden cart, his legs seemingly paralyzed. Nino answered the man's questions cautiously. He said he had only come to fetch water. Then he lied, claiming his father and brother were nearby slaughtering sheep. The man quickly reassured him, saying he meant no harm. He told Nino he had prepared a pot of soup and sincerely invited him to come inside and eat. Nino hesitated, but in the end, hunger overcame his fear. He followed the man carefully. This time, there was no trick. Nino ate a filling meal. It was the first time in a long while that he felt truly full after days of running and suffering. When he stood up to thank the man and leave, the man suddenly told him there was plenty of food left in the kitchen and that he could take whatever he wanted. Happy and trusting, Nino entered the kitchen, but he found no sign of the food mentioned. In a single moment, the kitchen door slammed shut, locking Nino inside. The boy began shouting for help, but no answer came. Only then did he realize that the disabled man had vanished. Nino quickly pulled out his dagger and began carving a small hole in the wooden door. With all the strength he had left, he pushed his hand through, trying to open the latch from the outside. Though his hand was badly injured, he did not stop. At last, Nino managed to open the door and escape. Nino rushed out of the room in panic and was shocked to see the disabled man riding the donkey away at full speed. Only then did Nino understand the full truth. Everything the man had done was just a trick to steal the donkey. Nino ran after him, grabbed a stone from the ground, and threw it. The man fell immediately and began screaming and begging for mercy. Hearing his pleas, Nino's heart softened, and he decided not to attack him anymore. But unexpectedly, the man took advantage of the boy's hesitation and suddenly lunged at him, trying to attack again. At that moment, Nino's anger exploded. He broke free from the man's grip and began striking him with the stone again and again, without awareness, until the man's body stopped moving. Nino froze in place. He believed he had killed the man by accident, without giving himself time to think. He took the donkey and rode away as fast as he could. Nino planned to keep what happened a secret and tell no one. But when he returned to his injured companion, the man noticed the deep wounds on Nino's hands. Under his repeated pressure, the boy had no choice but to tell the whole truth. After hearing the story, the kind man decided to return with Nino to the well. They headed there together, not knowing that the disabled man was not actually dead. Worse still, the farm owner, who never stopped hunting Nino, had already reached the well with 2 of his men. The disabled man lay on the ground, begging desperately for his life, unaware that the 3 men before him knew no mercy. The farm owner showed no interest in saving the man. His only concern was getting information about Nino. After he learned everything he wanted, he shot the man without hesitation and killed him on the spot. Then he ordered the body thrown into the well and continued his pursuit of the boy. A short time after they left, Nino and the kind man arrived at the same place. By pure chance, Nino avoided crossing paths with the farm owner. The kind man stood silently, staring at the bloodstains on the ground. He searched the area and eventually found the disabled man's body inside the well. He carefully pulled it out, buried it, and the 2 spent the night there, before continuing their journey at dawn. Soon, they reached an abandoned station, where they finally encountered the farm owner. The man quickly ordered Nino to hide inside one of the rooms, while he stood outside with his weapon, ready to face the farm owner alone. The cunning farm owner tried to manipulate him, claiming he only wanted Nino, and had no problem with the man himself. But no matter what he said, the man stood firm, weapon raised, protecting the boy. When persuasion failed, the farm owner offered a huge reward, hoping to tempt him into handing Nino over. The man did not hesitate for a second. With no other choice left, the farm owner turned to violence, and a fierce gunfight broke out. As a retired soldier, the man was fast and accurate, and he managed to eliminate the farm owner's 2 men quickly. But in the chaos, he suddenly realized that Nino had disappeared. He rushed to search for him, and found him inside a wooden cabin. Before he could reach him, the farm owner suddenly emerged from behind the door. The man sensed danger and turned instantly, but he was too slow. The farm owner fired, and the man fell down the stairs, badly wounded. In the end, Nino once again fell into the farm owner's hands. As he was being forced into the vehicle, the wounded man returned one last time. With all the strength he had left, he lunged forward, dragged the farm owner outside, and strangled him with his cane. The farm owner struggled violently, firing his pistol wildly. In the chaos, one of the bullets struck the kind man again. Still, in his final moments, he tightened his grip and strangled the farm owner until he died. But his exhausted body could endure no more, and he passed away shortly after. Nino collapsed as he watched the man who saved him take his final breath. He cried and screamed, trying to wake him. But it was useless. The man who gave his life, so the boy could live, was gone. Nino did what he had learned from his companion. He gave him a simple burial, worthy of his sacrifice. Then he gathered the belongings the man left behind, carried them with him, and continued walking alone toward the distant horizon, without ever looking back.